All right. Hey, welcome to, what is this, our third? Fourth.
This is fourth,
Fourth.
I think, yeah.
Fourth episode of Designing Adobe XD here on Fridays. Wow, I can't believe that's gone really fast.
Yeah, I can't believe it too. You were just telling me about this.
I know. Well, welcome back, Alex. I'm back as well this week. I'm Talon Wadsworth. I'm the lead designer for Adobe XD, and with me, the man who knocked it out of the park last week and ran the show, Mr. Alex Paterick.
I'm Alex, senior designer on XD. You might remember me from last week. I took over for Talon while he was out doing some cool things in New York, and now he's back though.
Yeah, no, we're excited to be back. I don't know, whenever we get out there and we meet with designers, that's what I was doing. I've been meeting with designers all week long. Like, man, so much excitement, so much energy, so much learning to be had. Like, it makes me think I'm really excited we run this stream because it gives everyone joining us a window into how we work with XD, which is actually pretty. I think that maybe everyone doesn't really everyone's still just kind of learning XD, and it's really valuable for people to see that window into our process, not just in how we attack problems, but actually in how we use XD.
Yeah, we use it to build it.
Yeah.
And we have all the insights.
Yeah.
At least we try to.
Here we have the team actually designing XD in XD. It's weird. It gets weird. If you have any questions for us, let us know in the chat. Welcome to the chat. Matthias, welcome back, man. How are you? Good to see you always on the stream. See that little blue check mark? I'm like, we always got. I love it when Matthias and those guys all show up. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, last week the chat was great. We had great conversations. I started to do a little prototyping on some stuff that I didn't expect to be doing, and it was great because I saw some really cool ideas, and we kind of made it come to life, or at least tried to. And yeah,
that's what's exciting about this format to me in general. The first time I streamed, we designed a feature live for XD, live on the stream, and there was just so much energy, and we like getting feedback. I think as creatives, that's really important for you to be, communicating very early and getting that feedback as soon as you can in the process, and then because it just makes you better. It makes you a better designer. It makes your designs better in the end.
Yeah.
And so being able to use XD to share in real time with everyone here. Hey, what's up, Mike? Thanks for joining us. The man himself, Mike Chambers. How's that JavaScripting prototyping going? If you've been following him on Twitter, you guys can go check out what Mike's been up to. He's been trying some new stuff, and it's been really cool. So
I'll have to follow him. I don't think I am yet.
Yeah. Yep. So cool. Well, today, though, we have a really important topic that is of concern to any designer working on a website, an app, anything that's going to be on screen. Rarely, even though we know some of these people, rarely is it a one-man show. From design all the way through to development.
Especially screen design.
Yeah.
You can have the screens, but until you can bring it to life, you got to hand it off at some point.
Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about the design spec, right? Does everybody know what that is? Have you yourself created a design spec? Let us know here in the chat. Oh, look at that! Matthias even gives us a little roundup in the chat. Thanks, Matthias.
Perfect.
He's bribed the kids. The kids are all watching a movie, so that Matthias can join us here on the stream. Nice, man. Thanks, man. I know that. I've got 3 myself. Yeah. You just offer them to watch a TV show that I'm going to turn down. All right. So today we're talking about speccing your design, right? This, what is a design spec, Alex?
So it's a way to kind of communicate to your developer or engineer, even to yourself, and if you're the one doing all your engineering work, just to say what are the different components, and what are the colors, and what are the different properties to kind
measurements.
Measurements is a big one.
Yeah.
Just making sure that everything is consistent and it's kind of pixel perfect. It's making your vision come to life, and there's no interpretation that you might not want.
Because I, as every designer knows, right, we're very concerned with the accuracy of translating our design into code.
Yeah, no, it's huge, and it's something to compare against too. So you can say hey, this isn't how I wanted it. Let's try it this way.
Yeah.
Big part of the process.
Big part of the process. I mean, I think we all have had that experience of seeing our designs in code for the first time, and then just being really coming down, being like, oh, okay, we have a lot of work to do. But yeah, a design spec really helps again, become the tool to communicate, with your development team.
Yeah.
Hey, and everybody over on YouTube, if you're watching us, join us on Behance and say hi. Again, that's where all this, all the cool kids are over here chatting with us in Behance. So why aren't you?
Be a part of that conversation.
Yeah. Hey, Tanakit. I hope that I said that right. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Are you designing? Are you designing in XD? Do you work with developers? Let us know. I said we're here to talk about how actually Alex is going to share here in just a second how we actually spec, and we want to know what you're doing and how you're solving this problem. And again, we kind of mentioned this, but the design spec when you're collaborating with the development team kind of really becomes that reference guide. It's where the conversation starts to happen, right? It's not the file, it's not the prototype. You're really having a conversation around the implementation and the development of your design into code.
Yep.
So this becomes a really important document.
Yeah, it's central for everyone. They don't have to have your file, and when you keep updating it, you all know where to go to look.
Yeah. Well, let's go over to Alex's screen here, and he's going to share with us actually one of the first big specs that Alex delivered for the team. Yeah.
This was a big one. This is CC Libraries. I'm hoping a lot of you are using this today. It was a huge thing. Worked with an awesome designer, Glaren. I mean, a lot of this is work he kicked off and he delivered at the end of it. But yeah, it was great working with him. And yeah, so this.
Let's break that. So Glaren, I think he had gone on vacation or something. Yeah.
I think so.
I think we kind of ran to crunch time, and all of a sudden we needed to sort of deliver these specs, right? And there was the design, but then there was a lot of problem solving that you did.
Yep.
Right, to make sure this design was ready for delivery to development. Again, I think every designer, when they get into this, they know a lot of work happens at the spec phase.
Yeah,
right?
that's when you start to run into those problems that you hadn't considered up front, or maybe you had, but you just hadn't had time to fully blow it up and then kind of see how it kind of works when you pressure test it a little bit.
Yeah.
So in this case, we actually had this responsive window that you could scale, open, and close. But that really affects how different assets are going to look. Are these a lot of the questions that came up are do these squares start to stretch when you stretch the window, or do they stay? Do they stay square? Do they maintain their size? All of these different questions are things you have to keep asking yourself.
As well as just all the minutia, right? Just the space between those squares, right? The height, the style, the style and height of the type being used, right? There's all that, but then there's you really were digging into how the thing works and actually speccing the behavior.
Yep.
Which again is kind of that that kind of other level, and we didn't really touch on it here, but in this spec in particular, right, it's very important not just to deliver on the visuals to ensure those are represented in code accurately, but also the behavior of those components and those elements on the screen.
Yeah, because the spec will change based on the behavior a lot of times. Just things start to respond, and you have to be able to present that to your developer, and they're going to be asking you the same questions. So this was a pretty big one. So you can kind of see I have a bunch of screens that I started to mock up just different sizes and all the cases for this. And then you can kind of do a quick click through if you wanted to. But then when you get down here, that's when you start to see where that really labor intensive manual work starts to come in. And this was before we had our feature that helps.
Yes, we're gonna get to that here in a second. Yes, indeed.
So,
this is a design document in and of itself. I mean, that's what's kind of really interesting about speccing, is that maybe even people like to spec. So
there are cases where you finish up this elaborate spec and you're just this is in a way kind of beautiful. There's all this data visualization happening on your screen, and these colors. I like to pick colors that go well together. so there is an art to it for sure.
That just speaks to how much time this sucks from actually designing features for XD, Alex.
Yeah, no, it does.
So if we're designing a design spec feature, it's to save Alex time so he can actually focus on the really important things.
No, that's true.
No, this is very important. Hey, Mitch, thanks for joining us, coming over from YouTube. Yeah, we're here live. Again, like this is the fourth time, but we're here every Friday, 12 to 12:30 Pacific. You should join us. Yeah, I'm glad it's popping up on YouTube. So glad to see you here. Thanks for joining us, Mitch. Sorry, go ahead, Matt.
I was just noticing somebody was talking about their XD socks. I should have wore those too.
We have new XD socks. We need to give some of those away.
We have new ones?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, we have new ones.
Need to get on.
Yep.
Get in on that.
With the new. I like them a lot more.
They're
actually
different.
Really very nice.
You're gonna have to show me later.
Yeah, I will. Yep.
Cool, but yeah, just back to the spec thing real quick. This is a lot of work, and this is just one of the different sizes of this panel, and I would have to do this for every single panel, especially when things change and when they don't change, or then I have to get into like weird different like percentages and things like that if I didn't want to do every single one, and that's just, you know, not only is that more design, that's more like math and all these things that
you did a lot of math on this project. I can attest.
Yeah,
you know, and, Alex, in figuring this problem out and ensuring that we're delivering like the right spec, again, the right information when it comes to the sizing and styling, but not just that, but also the behavior of this design. It was super important. This guy just completely knocked it out of the park.
Thanks.
No, so this was amazing. So all right, cool. And you know, in that way, like, you know, one of the things that's really important, I think, when you're speccing is communicating with your development team, right? And, and you know, Alex on this, you know, was working very closely with that team to ensure that he was delivering the right amount of information.
Yep.
Right.
That's a hard balance.
That's a really hard balance to get, and then also maybe the possibilities that you hadn't considered.
Yeah,
right?
No, there's definitely, I think there's things that they asked for after the fact that I didn't really consider. And then there are things that I over-delivered, I think. It was like, no, we use that font everywhere. You didn't need to like spec that out in the doc. Like a lot of times, like you run into that. So it's hard. It's hard for me as a designer to know exactly what they need. So it's a back and forth when you're doing it this manual way.
Now, in that manual way, I had to share this one because this was a case where this was a spec for our welcome screen. So we did a redesign of the welcome screen. This is actually one of the first design updates we did to that sort of start screen. And you'll see this actually if you go and you download XD and you launch XD, you'll actually see the results of this spec. But or in like so I think it did its job. Yeah. Right. Like it came out and it was pretty accurate. But when I remember delivering this to our developer Raymond, and I spent a lot of time sort of ensuring I hadn't spec'd anything for a while. So I made a lot of time where I got in here and I have all these these overlays, and again it really treated it almost like its own design project, and spent a little style information all in line so that Raymond could just glance at this and get all the information he needed to develop it. And I went and followed up with him, and I was like, so what did you think of the spec? Again, like I was like, I put a lot of time into this. Yeah. This is good, right? And he's like, oh, I don't need a lot of that information. I mean, he's very nice. He said it very nicely. Raymond is just a sweet guy. Again, a great collaborator. Again, really talented. And I was but he very nicely was like, oh, you didn't need to put in all that work. I was like, oh.
Sort of a thankless job.
Yeah, again, like I spent, like that's what happens when you do these things manually, is that, like you're ensuring sort of level of thoroughness, right? Yeah. Matthias was saying that he wishes that he got files like this delivered at work because people just send Word docs with embedded images. Oof. Oh boy. Yeah, we can. Actually, we're going to show the design spec feature here in a second, Matthias, and like your team should be using XD.
Yeah.
Oh, the PowerPoint, Mitch, we see that all the time. And actually, something that we had ourselves had done is using Keynote or PowerPoint as the tools to add all these spec and annotations.
Yeah,
as well.
I get that all the time from like doing customer visits and like, talking with other designers. Like,
designers
that's
are doing that.
Huge.
That's a thing. Yeah, like. It's crazy, and again, like that's something that we as a design like XD team, like we're like, we should just save designers a ton of time.
Yeah.
How can we do this better? So Alex is actually going to show a feature that the team is developing right now, and we've released it. It's in the shipping build of XD. So if you go and download XD, if you don't have it, you can actually access this feature right now, and it is the Publish a Design Spec feature.
And
Tell
it's
us about
incredible.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take these same designs I showed you guys earlier, where I had it broken down into all of this redlining, I guess is the term that we use. But if you just take your document, and right now I have these two wired up, and that's all I want to send because it's the only relevant information for the developer. Yep. So I'm going to go up here to the share dialog box, which we talked about last week. We did sharing.
Yep.
And
Nice.
we're going to click on the second link this time instead of the publish prototype. We're going to do publish design specs. You can see it's still in beta.
And it's in beta, only that we think that this is just the bare minimum of features. And
still building.
yeah,
and,
we're still building this feature. We actually want to hear from designers and developers who use this, again, and as we continue to develop it. Is it doing the job for you or not?
Yep.
Yep.
So I actually have a link already generated out of this.
Nice.
So we're just going to click onto that,
Let's go
but
check it out.
otherwise there would be a generate.
Generate your link. Yep.
Yep.
And again, if you didn't check that out, go back and check out the YouTube archive. Alex and a talented engineer, Daniel Wabrick, was on the stream talking about that. So if you want to hear more about sharing, go check out the YouTube archive. Happy Friday, Kathleen. Thanks for joining us.
Happy Friday.
Yeah, this is we're having a group session around design specs.
Yes.
You know, really helping each other out with tips and tricks. And one of the new things we're showing is the publish design spec feature inside of XD. Again, to save you all that time from manually specking out all the distances and styles and everything inside of your XD file.
And feel free to share your horror stories. We've had a couple with Word and PowerPoint.
Again, this is a group therapy session.
Yeah,
this is one of those ones. Designers, I think we all wish we didn't have to do.
It's a safe place here.
Yeah, safe place.
So back into our design specs. I just actually.
All right, this is getting meta, dude. You got to tell us what's going on here.
I know. I gotta do a little reset.
Again, because Alex is actually showing you a spec of a design like for XD in XD. Things we're getting a little weird.
It's getting
weird, man.
Yeah, it's getting strange.
Okay. All right.
So again, we were just in XD. We published this out for design spec, and now we're gonna kind of take you through like what you can do in design spec.
Nice.
So, like I said, I only generated those two artboards because this is the only relevant information for the engineer.
So you're gonna send this link to your engineer.
Yep, I'm just gonna copy this guy.
Who worked on this one with you?
I was trying to remember.
Was it was Sean? Was it Sean voicing, or was it Daniel?
Oh, you know what? It was Sean.
It was Sean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Sean.
Yep.
So
Talented engineer now sadly has moved on to a startup. It's a really cool startup, by the way.
It is pretty cool. But yeah, Sean's great. This is who I was sharing with. I would send him this link, and this is the link that he could access it all the time, like always. At the time, we didn't have this, so we weren't able to do that. But so now that we're in design specs, I can click on this artboard where I have all my designs kind of happening.
Yep.
And you can see immediately once I jump into here, we're focused on this artboard now.
Yep.
And you'll notice on the right side, which again, this is getting weird because like I have the color swatches over here, then I have all my color swatches over
Color
here.
swatches right there. Which in this case, Sean, the developer on this one, actually wasn't going to. That was kind of useless information for him, right? That would be
Totally.
right,
Yeah.
because he's really just concerned about the size of those squares and the way they behave, not necessarily style. Oh, hey, it looks like Dipendra, who's joining us, he used his design spec for a project already, and he says it helped a ton. Dipendra, that's so exciting to hear.
I love hearing that.
And hey, if you want to hit us up here on the stream or later on, we'd love to hear how that went. See if there was anything that your developer was missing. Again, like this feature is still really new, and it's exciting. Again, we're being successful using it. It's exciting hearing others being successful using it. But like, we're just getting going. Tell us what we're missing. Like, that's what we want to hear. And we want to share a little bit of like how we develop the features on the stream, but we'd also like to hear how it's working out for you. Let us know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah. All right, so show us what's going on. So we got all the styles.
Yep.
But then as you go in and
You made a great point. So some of this information, like content, isn't necessarily relevant for a lot of engineers.
Yeah.
So
interesting. You think that's something we could change about the feature, Alex?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Maybe
I think
we
that
could.
Gives me some ideas.
It's sparking a couple for me now too. That's a good point.
Here we are, designing live.
Yeah, this is how most of our features start.
Happens.
So in this case, if Sean was working on this, he could just go ahead and say like, okay, he needs to know that background color.
Yep.
Well, he can go ahead and just select that, right?
Yep.
And it's gonna, just like everything else in XD, it's contextual. So this property inspector over here is just going to
Yeah.
show me what color it is, if it has any shadow values on it, and it's a window, so it does. Opacity has 100, and then rounded corners at 4 pixels. It's going to just break down all that information for you.
So now is this something that like Sean, he'd be like, he'd be seeing this link, right, as the developer, he'd click on it, and he would look at these and he'd be typing it in, but I know he can actually interact with that panel, right?
Yeah. Well, he can click on these things and it'll just copy like hex values.
Copy
for
the values.
you. If hex isn't what they want, you can kind of change up. Like RGBA is pretty common in CSS as well, because that gives you the alpha. So yeah, he can just jump around there and do all that. And again, like pixels, points.
Get any measurements that they need.
Yep.
And that changes the measurements on the canvas as well. Nice.
Yep. So all this information's it's what he needs at the time of doing it. And again, like something like this.
And that's for shapes, but also for type too, right?
Yep. You could select any typeface and get similar attributes like. Here's the font, like what font family it is, what weight it is, size, kerning, all the good stuff.
Click on it, copy paste. Yeah. Nice.
Then you can actually grab this, but like something like as simple as this square, like look how many properties there are that I would have to spec out, and I think I actually have maybe something like that in XD where like I had to break down the corners.
Oh my gosh.
Kind of like do all of this stuff, and this is a ton of work. Like this is so much work.
So much work.
And
Tim, you're here. I was wondering if you're going to show up. What's up, Tim?
Hey, Tim.
Thanks for joining us, man.
But here, all that work's done for me. I don't have to worry about that. It's great.
Yeah. Hey, Tim. I was in New York this week, and we have 2 really amazing designers there in New York, Claren and Avalon. And guess what I saw a design for? Rulers and guides. I saw a design pretty close to being wrapped up for rulers and guides. So Tim would be very happy. He's going to be very happy to hear that.
I saw that a lot last week in the request. People were saying like rulers and guides, so I think a lot of people are going to be pretty happy about that.
that's been an ongoing.
Yeah.
Tim has been beating Matthias rulers. Yeah. All right. So yeah, maybe we'll do a section on maybe that's a topic we should cover. All right. Cool.
Start doing that.
All right. So yeah. So you were like in there like specking like the corner radiuses and everything like that.
And now it's done for me. I select something, I see the relationship between all the sides. It's just, and I can constantly update this as well.
Yeah.
So if I make a change, I just send it back up. And like I think you know as well as anybody, like sometimes like designs have to change.
Yep.
So if something changes dramatically, I don't have to respec everything. So it's just
so much time saved.
Yep. It's a killer feature.
Yeah, that's great. That's really exciting to see. Just see this in and seeing how it's changing our process, right? Like, again, like also, like if you needed to make a drastic change, you would just go to the file, make the change, and then update that same link that you sent to your developers.
I don't have to like update my red lines or anything like that.
Yeah, that's so good. So good. Tim F. joining us. Thanks for joining us over here on Behance. Autumn. Yes, Autumn. We are every Friday is the new show. Designing Adobe XD. This is our 4th stream. Again, it'll take a little while, I think, to get it out, get the word out. But yeah, we're just here, and actually, we're from the Adobe XD team, and we're talking about things that we're interested in, that the designers in the community are interested in, and we want to learn. This is like how we work as a team. Is that we listen to designers, we talk to designers, we look at the problems we're having as a team, and we try and figure out how to make that better. And that's really just kind of sums up all of our approach here again. So thanks for joining us. Ryan, that's great to hear that you just tried it for your latest redesign. I would love to hear from you and your developer about how that went. If it sounds like it went well, that's really exciting to hear. If there's anything that maybe your developer wanted to see in the spec view, like let us know. That's why we're here.
Get that feedback.
So yeah, thanks for joining us. So Autumn's actually prototyping in XD right now. So that's exciting. We love if you want to share your work with us here on the stream or later, you can catch myself or Alex on Twitter, Mr. Talon on Twitter, and A Paterick with a K at the end. You can find us on Twitter, and we always love seeing your work. Anyone on the Adobe XD team as well. So.
Yeah, everyone's pretty active and reaches out.
Definitely. So there was one thing I wanted to share, and because this is just like one of my favorite design specs I've ever seen, and I feel like it's something that I feel like it's like an aspiration. Like it's something that like I feel like I want to like shoot for when it comes to like, again, this is still very early in the design spec sort of time frame for us. Again, lots more to come. But this was probably my favorite design spec that I've ever seen from one of our colleagues. And this is an interactive design spec that was built using prototyping.
Yep. I was seeing this.
You know, today we're sending the whole artboard, but here it's broken down by components, right? So it gets me thinking, like, what if you made a symbol like of your header, right? And then you delivered the whole project to your developer. Could they both see like the artboard view, right, where they can see the big relationships, but actually dive in and actually see this kind of detailed information on the symbol that is like of the components of your designing. And these are the components that are going to be reused across your application. So wouldn't it be great as a developer is implementing that, they could actually see that in a centralized place, actually see it isolated and know that like this is something that you're going to use kind of throughout the app. This is my favorite. Again, like the designer who did this, like so amazing, and it just gives me like all these ideas of like how we can continue to push this feature forward. And so I just wanted to kind of share that.
I love how inline it is and how like just it's right where you want it and expect it. You're not switching modes, not swapping anywhere else. I love seeing this kind of stuff.
So again, like it's early, like with XD, like we release on a monthly basis, and again, this is the stuff that we like to share and get feedback on. Because and Dependra, it seemed like there's maybe some hiccups that they ran into, that your developer ran into as well. And again, that's why we do this, that's why we're here on the stream and why the team just likes to be out there, talking and seeing how people are working, because that's things that we want to we have the opportunity to make XD better every day and with every release.
Yep.
So if you guys have any ideas around design specking, let us know. Join us here on the stream or on Twitter. So we want to hear how it's going. So Brett has been using design specs, collaborating with his clients. That's great to hear, Brett. Again, anything came up, any hiccups, like Dependra was mentioning, let us know. Again, Matthias. Thanks, Matthias. Solid, dude. He went out there, linked to our Twitter.
Nice.
You can reach out to myself or Alex anytime.
Yeah.
We want to hear how you're using design specs in your work, maybe how you'd spec'd in the past, things you want to see us do with design specs, let us know. So, all right, well, we've got a few more minutes here, Alex. Right? We have a few tips for you if you're out there to help you spec your design to ensure a smooth handoff to your developer.
Yeah, we do.
All right, so the first one, this is pretty big. Let me kick this one off here.
Well,
what does this mean? What does this mean for a designer?
So like knowing your frameworks, pretty important because different frameworks require different types of design constraints. And so when you're building a system for that, you need to make sure you keep that in mind. You don't want to build something that your framework doesn't support.
It just can't work. Yeah. So say you're designing a website, right? And you know that your developer is going to be using HTML and CSS. It helps to know both the capabilities and limitations of that framework. Again, maybe not to be like overly hemmed in by that. Again, because we're designers, we like to push things, we like to dream a little bit. But we want to know how to be efficient, right?
Absolutely.
We want to know, like, if we design this, that it's not going to, our developer's not going to be hitting his head against the wall for days trying to figure out how to make it happen. Now, like it's useful for design to have some framework to work within.
Yeah.
Right. I think we can be more creative, right? Maybe even know how to break the rules a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, you get a little clever in how you kind of work within those constraints, and you sometimes come out with a better product than you had thought originally.
Yeah. So I think, again, like the best thing you can do is to know, where your project is going to be developed in, what framework or what language is going to be developed in. Designing something for native iOS is very different than designing for HTML and CSS. So do your homework on that front. You can more tools, more knowledge you have, the better your design will be in the end. Exactly. Right? Doesn't matter how magical the design spec feature is, we can't help you. Of course, goes hand in hand with this next one, right?
Yeah, that one's pretty important. You have to know what they're looking for as far as design spec. Again, you don't want to under deliver things. But yeah, they're gonna kind of give you some guidance and saying like, hey, while you're designing this, like, keep in mind that we don't have the technology to do this, or we don't have the time to implement that. So just having that kind of conversation ongoing, and our sharing feature alongside with our dev specs. A great way to kind of keep that communication going. You have a central place where you can talk about these things. It's
and I mean, if again, like every project's a little different. Sometimes you have a little more, time, you have a little tighter working relationship. But the more you can collaborate with your development team, I think the more interesting, more exciting, more usable that design ends up in the end. Again, because they're the experts. Utilize them as your experts. Expose them to the designs early in the process. That'll save you so many headaches in the end, right? Again, doesn't matter how good the design spec is in the end of the day. Like if you haven't built a really good working relationship, you're still going to have challenges in seeing your design implemented in code. All right, so, I just went and screwed up my whole presentation inside of XD. I gotta fix that. All right.
Thing.
All right.
Yeah. So
third tip.
Staying organized. I'm gonna repeat myself every time. This is also huge. It's a big part of it. It's really important. Like I showed you in the earlier design specs, like being organized is important. Only show your developer, designers, or stakeholders what they need. And an important way of being able to do that is having your own files organized, so you know what you should share, what you want feedback on, and
Yeah, no, definitely. Autumn was mentioning that her devs are on the other side of the world. So are some of ours. And I think one of the things that you might try, and again, like to build a tighter collaboration, I think has been that link, like Alec was saying, like to the prototype from the early parts of the design, right? Really letting them know kind of like where the design is at earlier in the process can help when your devs are in a different time zone. And also the design spec link. Again, like a single source of information that they know they can trust represents your design accurately anytime they go and look at it. I think that, again, like there are different ways to stay connected. And when we say talk, not necessarily talk directly to, but can utilize the different tools you have to build a tighter collaboration with the developer.
Pick up that conversation as you go, day in and day out.
Here at the end, I think this is a really important one. Right?
Yeah, so knowing your tool, just going in and out of it, knowing like what the capabilities are, but also being able to like utilize things like symbols or just global styles and settings, and just being able to at a glance look in your assets panel or your library and just see what's available to you. Knowing the little shortcuts to like check measurements on the fly, setting up grids and layout grid, square grid, just to make sure you're keeping a consistent thing going. So when you don't have different measurements on different artboards.
You're not using 5 different shades of the same blue.
Exactly. You're going to confuse everyone. So just, and that goes back to staying organized.
Yeah, totally. Those two are definitely connected. Yeah, I mean, I live with the assets panel open when I'm working. Again, because I want to make sure that I'm delivering the right. So I want to work efficiently, but then again, everything that I do earlier in the process and utilizing the tool, the capability sets of the tool, and staying organized, knowing what framework I'm delivering for. All of those things help me at the end of the day just communicate more efficiently and ensure that my design is going to look great when it gets in the code. So
absolutely,
So I mean we're a little over time today, but thank you guys for joining us. Alex, thanks for joining me again.
Oh, I love it. So
this is great. This is like we're gonna be here. This is Designing Adobe XD. We're gonna be here every Friday. And we're going to be talking about a new topic. If you guys have suggestions of topics you want to see us cover, or maybe get some insight into how we approach a problem as a team, you have a question for our designers, our product management team, or our engineers, let us know. And we'll be back here every Friday talking about really interesting things, just geeking out in general, and just showing you how we work and a little insight into our process as a team here as we build Adobe XD along with all of you. So thanks. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Tim, Matthias, Autumn, Dependra, everybody in the chat, Paco, for running the show here. You guys are great. Hit us up on Twitter, and we'll be back next Friday with a new topic, some new insights.
Yeah, thanks
everyone. See ya.